Hello and welcome back to the X-Ring. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Zeiss LRP S5. So stay tuned. All right, so in full disclosure, I did not buy this. This was sent to me by Zeiss for review. You guys also know that I'm on the Burris Optics Pro Team staff. They do allow me to review other optics and shoot other optics, so there's no issue there, so big shout out to those guys. I've really been looking forward to the chance to try one of these out, and I've had an opportunity to do that. And if you guys are not familiar with Zeiss or Zeiss products, guys, it is one of the oldest glass products companies in the world. You're looking at about 175 years. I think it started in the mid-1800s, around 1856 or so, by Carl Zeiss. And guys, their products, all they do are optics pretty much. I mean, everything from ophthalmology equipment to eyeglasses to metrology equipment like CMMs with coordinate measurement machines. So optics is something that they know. And you know, you hear a lot of people throw around the term loosely, you know, shot glass. So you have German shot glass. Well, ironically, Otto Schott worked with Zeiss and was one of the partners way back in the day. And so, yes, this has shot glass. Shot glass is owned by the Carl Zeiss Foundation, so you do know you're getting the best glass available. However, when you go to any type of NRL or PRS style match or long-range match, you don't normally see the German optics like Zeiss or Leica or even the Austrian companies like Swarovski or Kahles or anything like that. Kahles you see more of than anything else. But you don't really see optics like this. You're typically going to see your Night Force scopes, you're going to see your Vortex scopes, and things like that. So when I heard that Zeiss was really looking into releasing a long-range scope, specifically designed for PRS and NRL competitions, I was immediately interested. So some of the things about this scope. Now, first off is price point. Price point is going to be right at $3,600 is the street price, and that's right in line with your Night Force 7 to 35s or even your new Vortex Razor HD Gen 3s, which the MSRP on that's higher, but you can typically get it in that same price point. These are all within the same price point, folks. And then it's going to be a matter of reticle choices on what you prefer. Now, this does have a mill-based reticle. They do offer it in an MOA as well. I've had a chance to shoot this, play around with it a lot. This scope has the ZF MRI reticle. I really am a big fan of that reticle. I'll show you that up close here in just a bit. Now, when we're talking about the scope itself, it does have a 34mm main tube with a 56mm objective, so that's pretty standard. The magnification on this is a 5 to 25, and it is a first focal plane scope. Now, opening the box, the type of covers you're going to get are these bikini covers. I guess they really love these in Europe. I hate these things. I can never keep up with them. They end up stretching out over time, but Zeiss does offer optional lens cap covers for this. This is usually my favorite, but this is better than nothing, so at least they provide you with something. One of my biggest complaints with Vortex has always been those little black caps that really don't stay on. It looks like shipping caps. So, and this isn't a comparison, guys. I'm really just talking about that same price point. As far as the scope itself, it feels very robust. One of the things you're going to notice right off the bat are the larger elevation and windage knobs. This was designed specifically by Zeiss for a certain purpose, and I will go over that here in just a moment. Another thing you'll notice is right here at the saddle area, this is larger than most scopes that you're going to find. This does offer a whopping 140 minutes of elevation. Now, your leading scopes are going to be in that 100 to 120 range. So this is giving more elevation travel than almost any other scope that I've seen that's available or readily available. As far as your windage, you have 60 minutes of angle on your total windage. It does have daytime illumination, which I've actually videoed, and I'll show you the representation of that, and I really love the controls on that. The parallax on the side, it has a great feature. I'll talk about that a little bit more as well. And you do have a European style rubber coated ocular here. Now, as far as your eye relief, you're going to get a standard about 3.5 inches or so. The glass clarity is unbelievable in this. It is a great, great piece of glass. Some of the other features that this LRP offers are multi-coated lenses, the T-Star. And guys, that's nothing new, but one of the companies that invented that was Zeiss back in 1935 or so. Actually, I think somebody else invented it, but while working with Zeiss, that's when they started coming with multi-coated lenses. This has 90% light transmission, And multi-coating or anti-reflection coating on the lenses are what help get that light coming in. If someone tells you they have a scope that gets 99% light transmission, that's completely false. There's nobody that's doing that. You can't get that much in. So this also has the Lotutech coating as well. And I'm going to test that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Night Force, I'm going to take a Burst, I'm going to take probably a Vortex, I'm going to hold these up and I'm going to spray it with water and we'll see if it does anything with the coating. The Lotutech, I believe that's pronounced correctly, they keep making inferences to the lotus plant on how it sheds water. This is not a new coating. This is something they've been using on prescription eyeglasses for a long time, and what it does is it's also anti-reflective. It's kind of hydrophobic to make the water shed off as well as dirt. So I want to see when we spray these lenses if we can tell a difference or if it just beads up like everything else. So let's go ahead and go out to the range. Let's do a little bit of shooting with it, and let me finish my evaluation of this Zeiss LRP S5. I just mounted it up onto this Rim-X because for today, we figured that shooting out to 500 yards, seeing if we could dial that in, would be a good way to test it. Now, this does have a 40-minute of angle base. You're starting to see in a lot of the custom 22 builds, whether it's a Voodoo or whether it's a Rim-X or even a Ruger or any of those, you might see a 30 MOA base as standard. So this one came with a 40-minute of angle base. Now you pair that up with 140 minutes of angle of internal travel, we should be able to go a long way. Get it zeroed, we'll get the Tacticam on here, and we'll try to run these targets out to 500 yards. We'll see if it's possible. So the scope's all dialed in at 50 yards. It does come with the provided Torx. What I don't like, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a negative, is it has two different size Torx. The Torx for the elevation is a larger size than the one on the windage here. And in order to access those screws, you just have to go to that unlock position kind of in the middle, and you're gonna use the really small Torx. I'll show you a close-up of this. I don't like having two separate sizes for this, but it is what it is. I would have preferred, and I'm sure they have their reasons, but just to use one size. We do have the magneto speed hooked up, getting ready to get a chronograph speed. This is the Gray Ops, basically Arca Swiss adapter to be able to do that, so I'm not touching the barrel. So let's go ahead and get a speed, and then we'll go ahead and take this out to extreme distance. And we are all zeroed out on our turrets. Now the Zeiss does come with the Bikini Covers, and these are great as long as you don't lose them. They do offer as an accessory an objective cover, as well as an ocular eyepiece cover, as well as a throw lever for being able to make quick adjustments. I do like how they've marked this eyepiece so that it's not just guessing, you actually have some indicators here to show where your eye relief is. It does offer about 3.5 inches of eye relief. And on these turrets, you're going to also notice a dual set of numbers. Taking a closer look at the windage knob here, you guys do see that it locks. The way you unlock it is you pull on this, and then now you can adjust it and then push it back into place. Now, you don't want to push on this edge here because this won't do it. It is a sliding sleeve here, and it's really nice. Now, your elevation knob, you guys will see here, this does not have a lock feature, and that's fine by me. I'd rather it not lock. I've seen a lot of guys try to put in elevation and all of a sudden they can't because it's locked. Now they got to lift or it slides down inadvertently. The zero stop is very easy to set. It just takes a little Torx, 2 screws, and then you move it. Over on the left side, you do have your parallax knob. What I like about this is it's very similar to a throw lever in the fact that they give you a tab here to grab a hold of. So that does make it nice. I'm not just going on a knurled surface, but I've got a knurled surface with a tab on it. The illumination is extremely variable. So I don't have little clicks that turn off and on. What I have is an infinitely rotating knob here, and then when I want to turn it on, I just pull out on it. Once I pull out on it, I can go from where I cannot see it to where it's full daytime illumination. I'll give you guys an example of that here in just a moment. As far as the magnification, all of the even numbers you'll see are large. It's kind of a weird indexing that they've got here. There are additional throw levers for this available directly from Zeiss. And there's the ocular itself with that 3.5 inches of eye relief. 50-yard target. And you guys saw the impact there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run this all the way out to 350 yards, which is that round circle. Now, 350 yards, I'm at 17.4 of elevation. So let me go a full rotation. That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 4. We'll see if you guys can get focused in on this. All right, so you guys can see we are at 350 yards right now with the circle. I'm on 12 power. It is a first focal plane scope, so you'll see how everything changes with the size. All right, guys, so this is 350 yards in the scope right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold about 1.2 mils. We'll listen up. And that's an impact right side. Now, all right, so let's go ahead and give a demonstration of this illuminated reticle. I'm going to go ahead into this dark area here. That's at about 1,000 yards. Now, as I start bringing it up, you guys will see the colors in between every mil for the center to 1 mil left, right, up, and down. Now, remember, this is daytime bright. Guys, look at that. Look how bright that is. Almost to the point where it could hurt your eyes, right? That's max illumination, and believe it or not, it actually helps quite a bit. I know you guys can't see it because of the sun. Let's go ahead and see if we can hit this again at 350. Impact right side. So we got 350, 4, 450, and 5. I can dial all the way out to 450, but I'm 1 mil shy of 500 yards with this ammo. All right, so my dope at 500 is 30.99 mils, 17.5, and when we get around, this is 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, that's it, 29 mils. So I'm actually about 2 mils short of the 500 yards. One other feature I like about the scope is it does not have a preset zero stop for me. If I want to have a zero stop below 0, like if I wanted to run speed drop, let's say I figured out that this rifle was, I don't know, I'm making up a number here, 1.5. I could go down to 1.5, set that as my zero stop, and I'm not going to make a full rotation in 1.5 mils. So I don't like a scope where I set the 0, it's telling me I can only go down half a mil negative. You also see that on the tangent thetas. That's a really high-end scope that you don't have that option. I just have to live with it. And you're going to see quite a few scopes like that that don't give you the option of going negative beyond your 0. So good or bad, whether you use speed drop, it is something that gives you that ability. So let's go ahead and test these lenses and let's see how they hold up. Okay, to start this test, on the left side we have a Burris XTR3, then we have the Night Force 7-35 A-Tacker, we have the Zeiss, and then we have a Tangent Theta, professional marksman. What I'm going to do is, and I've not touched any of these lenses, okay? They've only been wiped off with a clean cloth. That's it. Nothing put on them whatsoever. I do have a bottle of water that I borrowed from my daughter, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mist the Burris on the left side here. I'm going to zoom in the camera and we can see how it reacts. So here we go. So let me go ahead and zoom in, give you guys plenty of light. And what I'll do is, since I have the Burris and the Night Force in the frame, let's go ahead and spray both of them. I have plenty of light here. I'll do 3 squirts each. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we can see how they beat up. Let's go ahead and pan over to the right. And let's look how the 3 shots in the Zeiss does. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And the Tangent Theta. So I am going to move the tripod around so you guys can see this a little bit better. Let's try to zoom in a little closer here. So there's the Tangent. There's the Zeiss. There's the Night Force. There's the Burris. Okay, let me go ahead and squirt more on it until it actually starts to run. So we're on the Burris right now. You can see it's overfilling, so we know that that's actually as much as it can take. Let's go ahead and slide over to the Night Force. Now it's overfilling. So you can actually see that it beads up a little bit better on that Night Force. Either way, we're going to do something else here in just a second. Let's go over to the Zeiss. Okay, now it's coming out. Guys, look at that. It's like nothing's hitting in the center here. And let's go over to the tangent. Okay, and it's dripping out of the bottom. So based on what I'm seeing, you can definitely tell that the tangent is pretty darn clear. This one's already starting to fall with the beads. That one's still visible. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow on all, look at the difference, guys. All right, what we're going to do is spray these off until they start dripping again, just so you guys can see this, all dripping. Okay. Okay. And that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blow on them like we do it a lot of times at a match. And I'm going to move this light out of the way for just a moment. And here we go. All right, let's check it out for fogging. I think we're all going to have fogging. Wait a minute. Let's look at this again. Burris, Night Force, Zeiss, tangent. Guys, you can definitely see a difference. Another thing I forgot to mention is in the development of this scope, they subjected these scopes to 800 cycles at over 1,000 Gs. It also had to withstand a 1,500 G-force load. This is waterproof down to about 10 feet or so, or 400 millibars, and I was not provided any compensation for this video review. Like I said, I was very ecstatic to be able to get one in my hands. I would actually compete with this scope any day of the week. I have a lot of confidence in it. The tracking's been great, and it just offers a lot of features that make it a great scope. All right, all in all, I've been extremely impressed with this scope. Yes, it is $3,600, but when you're looking at Night Force and Vortex razors, it fits that niche very well. I'm really glad to see a German company trying to get into the PRS NRL game. And, you know, Leica just did it last year with their PRS scope. And I don't know how well they're received, but this is right within that price point, and it has some great, great features. Now, here are some of the good points. It's extremely clear. I love the reticle. I like where they put the 1/2 mil subtensions. And this is something I think you guys are going to start seeing a lot more of. On the Razor HD Gen 3, it also does that. So you have your 2/10 as well as a 1/2 mil. However, on the Zeiss, the MRI, I do like how you have 2/10, 4/10, 1/2 mil, 6 to 8 and 10. It does make it clean, easy. It's not too busy of a reticle. The daytime illumination is unparalleled. I don't know if I've ever seen a daytime scope with this much illumination, and it is infinitely adjustable from nothing all the way on up to too bright, is what I'm going to say. There is no such thing as too bright because you never know the conditions. But I do like the scope. It tracked unbelievably well even when we shot out to 500 yards, which unfortunately I didn't get any video of. The nice thing is this will give you the ability to take your centerfire rifle and be able to engage targets out to about 1,500 yards or so. There are a few things that I don't like about it. And it's not much, but some people might call them nitpicky. But I don't like the fact that you have to have a T8 and a T6 if you want to adjust your elevation and then also adjust your windage. So in your elevation knob, you're going to need a T8 Torx, and on your windage, you're going to need a T6. So now you're going to have 2 tools or the provided Allen key that has one on one side and one on the other. The other thing I don't like is on the windage knob, I can't have it in the unlock and I can't have it in the lock. I've got to actually adjust it kind of like midways to be able to get that hole to line up. That's not that big of a deal. But my biggest thing is they should have added some cross-hatching or texturing to the windage, because what happens is when you attempt to lock this, almost everyone pushes on the end of it, and that doesn't do it. What you have to do is physically slide it, and it's very slick whenever you do that. You don't have a lot of grip on it. You can do it, and like I said, some people might call it nitpicking, I don't know, but it's one of those things that I notice right off the bat as I'm pushing on the end of it and it's not locking. As far as the elevation knob not locking, I'm fine. I'm okay with that. That's not that big of a deal for me. A lot of people have complained about the height of this. And what I was told by Zeiss was they purposefully designed it that way so that when you're on the rifle, you don't have to pick your head up to actually look and see the numbers. You can actually see the numbers up there high. I'm going to give you a representation of that where you can see that. And this is the best way I can do it, but the numbers are large and easy to see. The other thing is, and it's not new, the hard click at the full mil radian. So whether you're aware of this or not, you know, this is something that Schmidt and Bender's had for a long time. It's nothing new. I'm actually glad they incorporated it in there because it enables you to quickly start dialing and stop at 1, start dialing, stop at 2, and it just makes it that much more easy to do because you can just go thunk 1, thunk 2, and then slowly start counting the clicks. And this was something that was incorporated years ago to enable snipers to be able to dial up 1 mil and then some at night without having to have illumination or being able to look at it. Because you can dial it all the way back down to your 0 stop, start dialing, boom, there it is, 1 mil. I didn't have to look. I can tell you I'm on 1 mil right now. I can start dialing, there's 2. I know I'm at 2. However, there can be a downside to that. If your hands are slick and you're trying to go to 2.5, sometimes it'll stop and pull it out of your hand if your hands are wet. So pluses and minuses, I like the feature. I think it's great. Those are the only negative things I can find to it, other than be aware of how big this saddle area is where everything attaches to, because if you're using a smaller spur, you can barely get that in there, okay? So using a ring type setup is actually going to be better. It'll give you more spacing here. But as far as the scope itself, I absolutely love the scope. I think it's a great scope and a great value for what you're getting. This is also something that you can order directly from Zeiss dealers. Mile High is a stocking dealer. I just happened to have the t-shirt on. There was no planning to that whatsoever. Also wanted to mention that the illumination will go dormant and shut off automatically. So that's nice because most scopes you're gonna have a dead battery the next time you try to use it if you forget. You can also turn the scope upside down, turn the rifle upside down, actuate the knob, and then you can have it so that it's motion sensitive so that when you pick it up, it turns on. So that's another cool feature for the illumination that I really like. Also, I have a really good friend, Chris Way. He owns The Craft, also has a podcast. He's had one of these for testing as well. He has actually taken quite a few bumps and bruises with his. His rifle fell over. Someone includes some of these still shots here. You can check it out. And that damage happened a couple weeks ago, and he said the rifle still tracks fine. It actually did put a dent in the side of the objective. It hit so hard. Also doesn't come with a sunshade, which is a big minus. It should have come with a sunshade. But other than that, it is a solid scope. If you're on the fence about one of these, I would urge you to just go ahead and get one because it is a very nice scope. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Zeiss LRP S5. I hope you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.